Hey guys, happy Wednesday. I am a little bit late this evening. I had planned to come on a little bit earlier today, but it's my husband's birthday and we went out to dinner to celebrate him, and that was more important to me than rushing to make sure I hit a specific time that I just kind of told myself I had to do. And that is an example of expectations working for us instead of against us. And that's what I want to talk about tonight, is this idea that we set the expectations we have for ourselves in our life, which means we get to change them at any point for whatever reason. And this runs the gamut of everything from, what kind of clothes we wear and shoes we wear, to what kind of jobs we have, what kind of families we have, what kind of hobbies, activities, financial systems, all of that, everything. It's the expectation that I'm right here doing this live while my husband is folding laundry on the other side of the room. Should I be helping him fold that instead of doing this live? My expectation for myself is that I show up authentically, and right now, getting this message out is more important to me than folding some laundry. So when I talk about the expectations we have of ourselves, it's really for the purposes of understanding that we get to say what they are. We get to set those expectations. We get to set those parameters for ourselves. And it's our responsibility to ourselves to make sure that those expectations are serving us, are supporting our growth, or pushing us to hit our potential, to hit the goals and the projects and the ideas that we have of who we want to be and what we're here to do, rather than holding us back. So let's go. You all know I'm a big fan of personal examples. An old expectation that I had for myself was that I would be really, really rich and I'd be corner office, hedge fund associate. I'd be working in finance. I'd be in New York City, Manhattan, all of this stuff. And I would do whatever it meant, whatever I had to do to get that. That didn't happen. For those of you who are new here, I live in Rhode Island. I'm a life coach. I pick my own hours. Very totally different life. And my expectation now is that I show up authentically. Some days that means I don't show up. Some days that means I record 16 different reels and write all the captions for it. But the expectation is that I'm showing up as myself, not the expectation that I need to show up every single day in order to be a successful coach, in order to be a successful entrepreneur in this online space, in order to be da-da-da-da-da-da-da, right? We get to decide what the expectations are of our life. I was talking to a client today about balance, and she was saying that it's been really hard the last week, struggling to find the balance to work her day job, deal with family, herself, life, health, and creating her own business. And she was really down about it and really frustrated. And we talked about how totally normal, right? That makes sense. You're not doing what you want to be doing. You're not hitting those goals of yours. But balance, we all expect to have some sort of balance in life. And what we're taught, or what we assume in our mind to be balance, is the scale, right? The two-part scale, where it's 50-50 and everything is right, or it's 33, 33, 33, depending on how many, topics you have. That's not balance. That's not sustainable. Even if we look at the old scale where, you have coins on one side and you have gold on the other, or gold and you have rice or whatever, if we're in a market. You move one piece off one of those scales, or there's a heavy wind and something blows funky, it's out of balance, which means it's not sustainable. However, instead of the expectation that everything is going to be equal, everything is going to be within that, that 50-50 balance or that 25-25-25-25 balance, if the expectation is we're showing up every day to be the best we can or to do the best that we can do, some days your balance is going to be 90-10. 90% focused on you, 10% focused on everything else. 70% focused on work, 30% focused on your business. 60% focused on your marriage, 30% focused on work, 10% focused on you. And these percentages are just numbers. Let me repeat that. These percentages are just numbers. There is no good or bad. There is no right or wrong. It's what works for you in the day, in the moment. And it's really easy, and I know this from years of personal experience. It's really easy to beat ourselves up for not doing enough. Not doing enough to take care of our health, not doing enough to work out enough, not doing enough to grow our business, to enhance our career, to show up for our partners, to show up as a friend. It's really easy to say we're not doing our fair share. It's also really easy to point the finger and say that someone else isn't doing their fair share, which makes it hard for us to do ours, right? But again, we are the creators of our lives. We are the ones who decide what our parameters are. So we get to decide what's right and what's in balance. Just knowing that it's never going to be 50-50 all the time. That's not sustainable. That's not realistic. What's realistic, it's kind of this number, right? This idea that it's gonna ebb and flow like the ocean or the tide coming in. And we get to decide how that shows up for us, which is a really incredibly powerful idea. If we just take the thought of, I'm going to do the best I can do today. I'm going to be the best version of myself in this really hard conversation. That's a lot easier to fulfill or achieve than saying, I'm going to get XYZ done today in this amount of time, this is going to be my attitude, this is going to be what, tone I use, facial expression I have, etc. It's not sustainable. The vast majority of expectations that we hold for ourselves as human beings are not sustainable. But we get to choose to stop living by them and to instead create expectations that propel us forward, that push us towards being that version of ourselves that makes us light up, to having that life that makes us get out of bed and go, holy shit, this is amazing. We have to make the decision that we're not going to live by those old rules that we've given ourselves, that we're not going to fit in these tiny, neat little boxes that don't fucking work for human beings. We get to make that choice. We have to take the responsibility to make that choice and take that action. And that's where it's really hard for most people to follow through. It's one thing to say, oh, I'm going to show up as my best self today. It's another thing when your best self can't get out of bed and every bone in your body is telling you not to call out sick, that you're going to let someone down, to go into work, it's not a big deal. Oh, just go to brunch with that person, it's fine. Oh, don't have that conversation with so-and-so, it's not worth it. To set the expectation that goes completely against how we were raised, how society has taught us to grow up into women, is really, really hard. But I'll tell you from personal experience, it is one of the best fucking things you can ever do for yourself. It's one of the best feelings in the world to look back on a day and be like, no, I didn't get anything done per se. I slept. I took a 5-hour nap. I drank a lot of water. I watched TV. I relaxed. I took a bath at 3:00 because that's what I needed. It's an incredibly empowering idea to know that you are following through with your decision rather than at the end of the day being miserable because you didn't do what you needed for yourself. And I get it. It's really, really hard. Like I said, I've spent 30 years doing that, living that life of expectations that didn't work for me, but I wasn't willing to let go of. And the 2.5 years since, not peaches and cream, right? Like I'm still a human being. So much better. So if you need some assistance, if you don't know how to get started on this or how to keep going, or you just need an accountability partner, or you just want to be like, hey, I'm doing this and it's fucking awesome, you've got it, send me a DM, shoot a comment here so that anyone who follows this replay can see that it's possible, can see that they're not alone in this, because you're not. Sunshine, you're not alone in this. Most people in this world are struggling with fitting to their own expectations because they don't serve us. So take the action, make the decision, and reach out if you need help or you need support. I would be honored to be that person for you.